What's good, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Zamir from Accessy Tunes. In this video, I'm gonna talk about sampler track for both Cubase and Studio One. So it's a comparison video like I always do. So let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and add a sampler track. So you can actually go to any of the file browser and look for the sample and create a sampler track that way. Or you can go to this button here and add a sampler track. Where is that? There it is. Okay, or if you have a sample, okay, let's say you have a sample in the project window like so, right? You can click on the event, you can shift right click and create sampler track from there as well. So these are the few ways that you can add sampler track in Cubase. So let's check out the features of sampler track. I really like the updated version of sampler track in Cubase 13, and ever since the sample track was introduced in Cubase 9, I think, I've been using sample track for all of my projects, every single project of them, right? So whenever there's a drum, hi-hat, sometimes even a track where I need to have a certain transition effects, I usually do it with sample track. So I'm not going to talk about how I use sample track in this video. So you can see the audio file right here. It's a visual representation of the audio sample, right, which is already added here. And you can add a couple of different sample to it, and there's a way for you to lock parameters as well. So for instance, let's say you already have a sample in this sample track and you kind of like change some of these pictures maybe, and you change some of the parameters here, and if you lock it when you add another sample, so those things that you changed earlier, it's gonna be locked, which means it's not gonna change at all, right? But if I unlock this and if I add a new sample here, you see it backs to octave 0 and then the audio warp is turned off, right? So that's another useful thing. And we have the reverse features. I can reverse the sample right from here. That's cool. And I can normalize them, and I can select whether I want a one shot. So one shot is when I press one time, it's gonna play until the end of the sample. Let me get a longer loop. So I'm gonna press it one time. Let me turn on this one shot first. Okay, I'm gonna press the note here one time, right? So it's keep playing even though I'm not holding the mouse or holding the keyboard, right? So if you want to have that kind of effects, you can turn on the one shot. So I'm gonna just turn it off, and we have these options for loop mode with continuous, alternate, ones, until release, alternate until release. Okay, so that's really nice. And here, this is what I like about it. It will show me the file name. Okay, which file am I currently using? Okay, so let's say I like this snare and I want to just kind of chop this snare from this drum loop. Okay, so what I can do, I can press Control and zoom in like so. Let me turn on this. Yeah, make sure the snap to 0 is turned on so that when you cut it, it's gonna cut it smoothly. Let me just make it a bit longer. Right, and then let me adjust this. So let's say you like the length of this sample. Now you can come here and click on this trim sample. You can trim them, right? And now what you can do, you can actually save this as a track preset. Now you can actually click on this button, go to save track preset, and you can actually create a folder, and then you can go to that folder, and I'm gonna save it as snare. Okay. Okay, now I can go to my home, go to user presets, track preset, sampler, and I have my snare right there. So if I like it, I can just drag it to my project window. So I've just created a really nice snare sound from the loop that I got earlier. So this one here. So you can actually pretty much do a lot of things. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about these features here. So we have we can chop samples here. We have audio warp. We have solos, spectral HD and spectral vocal. These are the few things that is added in Cubase 13. In Cubase 12, I think they only had music and solo or spectral, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, so Cubase 13 introduced new sample track, new version of sample track, and it's even better than before. Okay, so we have sync where you can actually sync it with the original BPM. You can add a legato effects. If you're using sample track for 808, this is what you have to do. Click on the legato and you can play the legato note. And also if you can turn on this monophonic, which means you can only play one note at a time. So let me just grab a 808 right now. So I have this 808, and if I want to go to legato, and if I turn on the mono, so it will automatically cut the previous note. It will not overlap the first note that I play. For instance, let me just turn this off. You can hear two notes being played at the same time. So we don't want that. So that's where I like to press on this monophonic. So I'm pressing both the note, but only one is playing at a time. So that's what monophonic is. And then I can turn on this legato mode, which means, so when I play a different note, it's going to slide in to the next note. Let me change the glide speed, like that. Okay, I use them a lot, especially for bass drop, so that's really cool. So let's go to the next one, which is a pitch. I like this pitch. I've been playing around with the pitch modulation. It's really nice. So let me go to shaper here. I'm gonna turn on the sync. I'm gonna use the paint, and then I'm gonna just draw it. Let me choose the, yeah. You see nothing happened, right? Because I didn't turn on this amount. Yeah. See, that's a cool effect that I can create right away with sampler track. Ooh, like that. Let me bring this down. That's really nice. So you can play with that, and if you don't like it, you can just turn it off, reset this one. You can actually go here and enter 0 so that it's reset correctly. So now when I press my keyboard, nothing happens. Okay, so let's go to filter. In order for the filter modulation to work, you need to add a filter. So turn on the filter first, and then go to modulation. And now it's the same thing. I'm gonna go and turn on the sync, and I'm gonna use shaper. Now let's paint something. Okay, nothing happens because I didn't turn it on. Nothing happens as well because I didn't choose the type of filters that I want to use. And also I didn't change the cutoff. Let me change the, let me add the drive. That's nice. So I can kind of modulate like that. I can also go back to the pitch modulation and turn on this one. I can have the loop to continuous. Oops. So that's basically what you can do with the sampler track. So I'm gonna go back to filter and I'm gonna change it to 0. Okay, now it's back to normal. I'm gonna turn up the cutoff. Okay, Let's go to modulation, the amp modulation. So for the amp modulation, you don't have the envelope amount basically. So the moment you change this to shaper and make it sync, the moment you change anything here, it's gonna directly affect. Okay, let me change this to no loop. See that? So if I go to filter modulation and turn this up, pitch modulation and turn this up as well. See, I can do a lot of things with the sample track. We also have two LFO here and LFOs for the filter as well. Okay, so that's sampler track in Cubase. Cubase sampler track is really nice. I really like to use Cubase sampler track a lot. I use it all the time for film scoring, for beat making, for transition effects especially, and for vocal chop and all that, right? So it's really awesome. So let's go to Studio One and check out sample track. Okay, so I'm in Studio One right now. So if you want to add a sampler track, it's as simple as in Cubase. Just right click on it, go to send to sample one. Sample one is actually the sampler track in Studio One. It looks really cool. I like the way it looks. Okay, and there's another way that you can add as well. You can go to the instrument here and you can find for sample one. Let me search for it. Yeah, sample one. You can just drag it, drop it in the project. So that's how you add sample one. So now let's check out the parameters that they have. So we have waves. Let's say I want to add this clap to my sample one. I can drag it and drop it like so. And when I press my C note on the keyboard, I can hear the samples being triggered. Right? I can also adjust the start and end of the samples like so. Okay, I can press Control and use the mouse wheel to zoom just like in Cubase. Okay, one cool thing that I like about sampler track in Studio One is I can add multiple sample in one sample one track. So for instance, I have this clap, but I want to layer it with maybe a hi-hat. Oops, that if you drag and drop it here, it's going to replace. So you have to actually drag and drop here. Okay, so now I have both the clap and the. I'm going to go to hi-hat now. Okay, so that's nice. So if I go to clap, hi-hat, so these are the two samples within one sample one. So that's really nice. I can actually map these, right? So now I have clap. This one's is actually a clap. This is actually the middle note. If I change this to a different note, it's going to change the pitch of the clap, right? So this one should be in middle C. And if I were to map this, I can just so if I go lower than this note, I don't hear the clap sound. So anything above C3, I can hear the sample of the clap. Below that, I can't. So I can actually map it like so, right? And this one, I can maybe change this to. So I'm going to just drag it to C1. So. So basically I can have freedom, which means I can just add one sample track here, which is the sample one. And I can add multiple drums or whatever sounds that I want. And I can, layer them and create my own instrument right here. So this is really cool. Okay, so let's go and check out the normal here where it's, okay, yeah, this is a one shot. Like, so you just have to press once for the clap, get trigger. And we have the reverse button. And it's actually work independently. So when I go to hi-hat is being reversed, but the clap is not, right? So if I want to reverse the clap, I have to choose the clap and then select them like so. And obviously I can normalize them, right? And then the name of the clap or the sample that you use here, you can see it right there. Okay, let's go to envelopes here. We have envelope, we have this pitch, envelope, filter, and amplitude. If you don't want to see this envelope and you want to just adjust them like here, you can do that as well. Whether you are in the mapping page or wave page, you can still use this transpose pitch envelope. In the pitch envelope, you can actually go here and adjust them like so, and you can see the attack is being adjusted as well. So if I drag this, if I drag it like so, all these parameters is being adjusted. You can adjust them like here, from here, or from the curve here as well. But you can see all these parameters being changed as soon as you move them. It's actually applicable for all these three envelopes. Okay, another cool thing I like in Studio One is this record here. So for instance, if I don't want to record in the project window and then add it to my sampler, I can straight away record it here. So let's test one. Check, check, 1, 2, 3. So I've got a new sample here, and I'm gonna just go back to wave. Just okay, that's weird. Why I can't hear it? Let me remove these samples. Oh, I gotta go to mapping. So those mapping here, I'm gonna turn this up. Bring this to C3. That's my voice. What? I guess it should be in C1. Let me bring it to C1. No. Interesting. Right. Okay, so this one thing I'm kind of confused. I don't know which one is the root node of this sample. So is it because it's selected here? Let me change this one. C3. No, it's not. Okay, so I'm not really too sure about how this works. However, you can do the sampling from this tab here, right? So that's really cool. So when you compare with Cubase, Cubase doesn't have this feature, and Cubase doesn't have the layer feature as well. So another cool thing about sample one is there's 6 effects here. So we have modulation, delay, reverb, then effects B, we have gator, EQ, distortion, and pan. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's 7. Now, if you want to see these effects, you can click on these effects. If not, you can just turn it off by clicking this button here. And you can also turn off the keyboard if you don't want to see a lot of stuff here. So you can just make it look like this, simple and just simple. Okay, let's go back to the effects here. So let's add a few more samples. I'm going to use the same sample here. Okay, I have the sample. I've transposed it up, so which is high right now. And if I add another sample here, these parameters is not changed. So there's no way that I can actually turn it off like in Cubase. Like we can log the parameter settings. Here in Studio One, we can't do that. Okay, so now let's try adding this modulation. Let's click on this modulation. It's flanger, chorus, and phaser. So within this modulation, there's few more parameters that we can play around with. There's also a mono mode. This is stereo. This is mono. That's nice. We can also sync it, right? That's nice. You can use either one of this, not all of it. So there's no way for me to just use chorus plus the phaser. So I have to use either one. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, let's try the delay. Okay, let's have the pan. Okay, I'm gonna change the value here to 16. I can increase the mix. I also have a low and high cut. That's nice. And there's a reverb within this delay. Oh, I think this is the feedback. That's nice. So we have delay, we have reverb, we have pre-delay. That's nice. That's really cool. These effects works as expected. So let's go and check out FX B. So we have gator. Ooh. Okay, I think I have to use, let's use a longer loop. Okay, let me turn this gate off. This is a very simple, straightforward sample, but when I turn on the gator, this is similar to Cubase modulation effects. Here we have more control in terms of the curve. We can also draw our own curve if we want. But in Studio One, it's a bit different, where it's actually a fixed one, so it's not bad. I like it. I like the way it works. And also I can change this speed. Let me go to quarter note. Oh, that's nice. Make it stereo. Nice. So that's really cool. Let's go to EQ. There's two options here, either lead or bass. So bass has more bass in it, obviously. Lead sound a little bit different. That's nice. So let's check out the distortion. So it's just same as the filter, I think. In Cubase we don't have the effects, but we have this filter, and in Studio One they have the filter as well. This filter is kind of limited, however they can add all of it from the distortion effects. Now let's try the pan. This is really nice. So let me just add a couple of effects together. That's really interesting. So for sound design purpose, Studio One Sample One is really good. So Sample One and Cubase Sample Track, there's not much different except for the fact that in Studio One they can add, they can layer the instruments, and there's an effects option here built in with the sample track. But in Cubase we don't have it. But if you want to layer, you can actually use the Groove Agent. You can actually layer with Groove Agent and stuff. I don't find that's a problem for me. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, smash the like button, and share this video to everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.